September the 10th, 2025, and you know why you're here as I hit the microphone. So let's not kick this off right and completely fumble it. Hey, I'm Gerissar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey guys, it's Bigmoran, and I'm an acolyte of the Divine Inquisition.
What is that?
We're a guild that worships the light on Moonguard.
Oh boy.
If you'd like to join us, we meet in Stormwind near the cathedral every Sunday, and you can be inducted into our ranks only if you commit yourself to being an army of the light.
So are you gonna let any void elves in?
That's we specifically reject heretics, and void magic is unfortunately a bit sus.
So no shadow priest.
That's, I think, a tough one. You know, it's tricky. We'll come back to that. I need to check the notes.
I'm sorry, you are a shadow priest. You're not allowed to join our guild. All right, so
we do have demon hunters though, so I think shadow priest would probably be okay.
Well, but demon hunters are fell magic, right? Same as warlocks.
Yeah. I suppose, yes.
Well, until midnight.
Yeah. Like getting that other hero spec.
Yeah.
Or here other regular spec.
The other hero spec.
Yes.
So okay, trivia question. Just because we like to PvP and we love to talk about PvP. Does your RP guild do PvP? And is there like a rival void guild?
There are rival guilds.
Yeah.
Yes. Many. For various reasons. So there's a few things that I've learned over the past few days. To answer your first question, yes, our guild does PvP. We were actually doing some random BGs last night. And a lot of people in the guild actually do solo shuffle and BG blitz, normal arena.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've learned is that on PvP servers, there's kind of a connection between like the strength of your character in an RP sense and your arena rating. Like if you're a high rated player and you're in an RP PvP guild, you kind of get like double the clout,
Yeah.
Like you get that in character and out of character swag by having high ratings. Right. So yeah, it's very important on these servers to grind the ladder.
No, yeah. Well, we all know about the grinding that happens on Moonguard, so why not?
Hey, not in our guild. That's some heretic behavior.
I mean, you could go down there and be like, the door knockers, walk around the doors of the Goldchar Inn and start talking about the light and how people should give up their evil ways.
Yes. Well, it's funny because we our guild is based on it's the guild is on the Alliance, but we have a part of our guild which are Maghar orcs. So I don't know if you remember the Maghar orc quest chain.
Yeah.
Where the lightbound visit Draenor and say convert, come to us. And many of the orcs, reject that, and that's kind of how the Maghar. But we have some Maghar orcs in our guild with the theory that maybe some orcs did actually convert to the light.
Well, that's fair.
And,
I mean, yeah.
Yes, it's a possibility. It's not entirely canon, but it's a twist on a potentially canonical event. So,
interesting. I like it. That's awesome though. Which is so I love that about RP guilds. I've never, and it's funny because I always played on an RP server on Cenarian Circle, but I've never actually participated in an RP guild. Like we didn't do like the full backstory. We didn't do any of that stuff. We didn't, we didn't talk in characters and all that other stuff. I had some friends that they were in my guild. They were all guildmates, but then they were in like an RP guild with their other character, and that's where they disappeared for like, an evening, and they just RP'd out uh, a whole storyline or whatever, and it sounded really cool. But I just
Mm-hmm.
um I never got into it, which is interesting to me considering I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons when I was a teenager, and that's one of
Uh-huh.
the reasons why I joined that server was because I was like, oh, RP, and do it. But then it was just too much work.
Yeah, I've learned that. Yeah, the RP guilds are a pretty
Mm-hmm.
big commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as aside from doing the Sunday service, I mean, we also meet sometimes to discuss PvP events.
Okay.
I know I wasn't there yesterday, but my guild was doing some world PvP.
Oh, that's
Um,
always fun. Yeah.
yes, and world PvP on an RP server is very
Yep.
intense.
Yeah.
Um,
Emerald Dream was notorious for that as well in the NA
yeah,
servers.
from my understanding, Emerald Dream sort of morphed into Moonguard.
Yeah,
Like,
it did. Yeah.
I don't know exactly why or how, but a lot
Mm-hmm.
of players migrated over, and now Moonguard is the PvP hub for RP.
Yeah, I remember there's a big conversation on our Discord channel about it, where Emerald Dream had been, and then there was some major influencers for on the server that everybody had gravitated to, and then those people had left or stopped playing, and so then people just went off to find somebody else to follow, um, which I always find interesting in the PvP community. Like, there's all these people that want to PvP, but nobody likes leading, or very few people like leading, and they
Yes.
don't want to have to do all that work. They just want to follow, which I totally get. Having to be a leader at work, the last thing some people want to do is also be a leader in a game that they're supposed to be using to relax, um,
Hmm.
which which is interesting then that people would PvP because it's not always that relaxing. But
Hmm.
yeah, but I found that also often like people will gravitate to somebody thinking that they'll be leading or whatever, and then actually, I'll throw it out there. The Oasis Discord, Cherry was a huge magnet, a beacon of light at a dark time for PvP communities, and she built up the Oasis. And then when she stopped PvPing and decided she was going to do Mythic Plus instead, the whole PvP side just disappeared overnight. Like, it just went silent because nobody else was doing the work, which
Yeah,
is one of the reasons why she stopped, because she was just burnt out from doing all the stuff. So,
it's kind
um,
of interesting because in the past there wasn't necessarily like a leader of PvP, but there
mhm.
was always the big hub, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, and it kind of changed every single expansion.
Hmm.
And not only would you maybe transfer servers, but maybe you transfer factions. Like, it was really funny. So in Cataclysm, at the end of Cata, the big PvP hub was Kel'Thuzad.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
MOP starts. It was
Yeah.
Kel'Thuzad Alliance.
Yeah.
Then MOP starts, and everyone transfers over to Tichondrius Horde.
Yep.
And then WAD starts, and everyone faction changes to Alliance on Tichondrius.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the last time we had sort of a main PvP hub. But there's kind of a few different hubs these days. Um,
Sargeras was a big one too there.
yeah,
Um, up until Battle for Azeroth, and then I think after Battle for Azeroth, they kind of went.
but in any case, like, everyone's pretty fractured these days. Like,
Yeah.
Tichondrius is still big, Moonguard's
Hmm.
still big, Sargeras is still big, but
Hmm.
there's not like one main hub. Everyone
Well,
kind of picked their neighborhood.
but that's also because around that same time is when Discord took off, right? So
Mhm.
now we didn't
Oh
have
yeah,
to.
good point.
We didn't have PvP guilds. They all just disappeared and became Discord servers, right? And Discord
Also,
communities.
I think I don't remember when they started allowing cross realm queuing. I don't. That might have been in WAD is when the first time you could cross realm queue. I don't remember when it was because
It sounds about right.
yeah. So that's probably
Hmm.
why, and
Yep.
that sort of opened the floodgates.
Yeah,
Um,
so now you didn't have to be in a guild. You could just have, everybody's just building their BNet uh community, making friends. So there's their BNet friends list to queue up with. And there's Discord servers, so you didn't need a guild anymore. And now you don't even need you don't need a faction. Well, you might need a faction change, but you don't need to server change, because it doesn't matter. You can be on any server. So, um, Actually, that's one thing I like about being on Cenarian Circle is I turn on war mode and I go outdoors. And so RP realms are the ones that they um, outdoors they don't shard as much.
Hmm.
So you're less likely to that whole issue, where you'll be fighting somebody and then they disappear because they like cross into another shard line or something like that. Um, so that doesn't happen. But I always just run into other RPers. So I'll run into a bunch of Wormrest Accord or a bunch of Moonguard players that are all out there. Sometimes they're the other faction and I get smacked, but it's quite fun. At least I like it better for the world PvP in that regard. Just one other question: do you like so when your guild RPs, do they like or when they PvP? Do they RP and PvP? Like, do the dwarves actually try to talk to like dwarves? Like, "Ah, I'm drinking
Like in
in, I'm taking in."
in the middle of
What?
battle.
Yeah.
Not really, but
No.
I know our guild does quote unquote executions in RP, which
Oh.
involves going to the if someone is going to get kicked from the guild, they get taken to Nag Grand Arena and they get they get executed.
That is
So,
awesome.
yep.
Uh, Walk in the guilty bastard.
Yep. I
Too
mean, I
funny.
would really recommend, even if you're not like an RPer, I think it's really
Hmm.
fun to play on an RP server and just sort of
Yeah.
hang around and see what's going on.
I agree. I agree. I so one thing we didn't really talk about, but the faction changing thing, and the like that was more about races, wasn't it? Wasn't that around? Because there's a lot of people that are human because the human racial allowed you to have two trinkets without not having to use medallion, so that was
Yep.
OP. And then I thought everybody switched over to horde because well, there was the blood elf racial, which was stupid. Oh, like, that was so overpowered. Um, and then there was also, I think that's when they tweaked the orc racial to diminish your CCs, and that was found to be more OP. And now I think it's that hard balance. I think a lot of people switch back to Alliance now because of the Night Elf racial, because Shadow Meld is so powerful in many ways. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but some of the other, like, again, there's still a lot of people that are playing Orc because Orc is so strong, and then you have Gnome, depending depending on the meta for breaking roots and
Hmm.
that. So I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to. There's no one faction really to rule them all. I think people are just playing what they want to play and what they think is better for the game at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like in the past, both human and orc were popular.
Yep.
Like those were universally like the best races for PvP.
Hmm.
And it kind of depended, which one was better. It kind of depended on the class you play. Like
Yep.
obviously as a shaman you can only be orc, you can't be human. But as a warlock you could be both. And
Hmm.
lock shaman was a popular comp, and so it's like it kind of made sense for you to be horde so you could play with shamans.
Yep.
And but you could do equally well as an alliance warlock. And actually there's kind of a regional divide during Mists of
Hmm.
Pandaria, where on North America most PvPers were horde, especially the
Hmm.
beginning expansion, while on EU most players were alliance. The high rated competitive players.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it's been kind of flip flopped over the years. It's funny you mentioned racials because I was just writing a video. I'm just finishing up a video today actually, where I talk briefly about racials.
Hmm.
Because there's always that debate of, do racials matter in PvP? It's, well, of course they
Yep.
do,
Yep.
but there's a group of players, kind of myself included, who say, well, racials matter, but they're not as big of a deal as a lot of players make them out to be. That's kind of my philosophy on it. Is, yes, racials matter, but they're just kind of a small part of your overall gameplay,
Hmm.
and for some specs, they can have a really big effect on your gameplay. Like if you play Asa Rogue,
Yep.
or feral druid. Being night elf is a really big deal, but for everyone else, being night elf is just pretty good. It's
Mm-hmm.
not amazing, but it's pretty good. Um, and then same thing with like, some ratios are very good in specific contexts. Like if you're a priest playing against another priest and one of you is
Mm-hmm.
undead, the person
Yep.
who's undead is probably going to be happier in that matchup, having that extra fear breaker.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, ratios are an interesting thing, and a lot of people I think get worked up about them, for good reason.
Yeah.
I for one, and I'd like your opinion on this. Like some people suggest like completely disabling racials in PvP. I really don't like
Yeah.
that. Uh,
Yeah.
I like the flavor of racials in
Mm-hmm.
PvP.
Well, and it's funny because I think in all things being equal, like if balancing was so perfect that everybody was at an equal level class wise and ability wise and everything and damage and burst and CC and everything, um racial would be the only thing that really separate people apart. But we know the game isn't balanced. Like it never it gets close sometimes, but there's always outliers. And I feel that out of everything in the game, as far as ability wise, that racials are not that important.
Yeah,
They are only um I think they only really piss people off when there's a racial that completely outgame that they feel that outgames their class that they're playing. So like a dark iron dwarf taking away all the bleeds. Now the feral can't. There goes the feral player's whole damage profile, right?
yeah,
Uh, the I don't know. Yeah, just whatever. Like, I think like, if you get completely outplayed, if you feel like you got completely outplayed because of the racial, um, chances are you probably already lost the match. The racial just made it happen faster. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
and yep. And I mean, I think there's very few bad racials in WoW these days.
Mm,
Like I would say, obviously, the worst one is probably Nightborn. Like a three
I
minute
don't even.
cooldown. It's an
Yeah,
AOE slow, and I think it does decent damage now. They buffed it at some point, but you know, uh,
yeah. I don't even know all the
y-
racials.
yeah, most of them are pretty decent.
Yeah, I think
There's
some
just
of them are
maybe
kind of
like,
dumb.
yeah, there's like five of them that aren't that great.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's funny that some of them haven't really been buffed that much. Like, for instance, the
No.
Worgen racial was really interesting when it first came out because mobility was more limited.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like the Worgen racial doesn't seem that amazing. I think they buffed it
Yeah.
recently so it stacks with other movement speed increases or something. But
Okay.
all it takes is one person snaring you, and suddenly your racial is just gone. It's like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
I think was is it
and
the Lightborn that is the heal that is like it doesn't even equate to a bandage like or something
actually,
like that.
I should know what the Light Forge do. I mean, that's part of my
Mm-hmm.
my RP guild, but I don't know what their racial is, to be honest. Let's see. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I can't like I said.
Uh,
There's a few of them. The Void Elf one with the teleport that's kind of cool.
yeah,
Um,
that one's gotten a bit more popular this
yeah.
expansion. A lot of people are
Mm-hmm.
playing Void Elf.
Yeah. I think we're gonna see a lot more people, especially with the new Demon Hunter spec and just like how much that plays onto the Void Elf. I think that's gonna be a popular combo come midnight.
Oh yeah. Oh no, not that Demon Hunters needed any more mobility, but they finally
Right.
got it.
Right. Um, we already talked about Dark Iron. That's pretty good. Uh, Volpura. Mm,
That's popped up in the AWC every now and then because
yeah.
of their passive. Um, They have a really weird passive that reduces damage taken
Yeah.
from the first hit that someone does to you.
Okay.
Which is on its surface pretty useless, but it turns out that's actually pretty decent against Demo Warlocks because they're summoning new pets constantly. So each attack from the new
Ah.
pet that gets
Yeah.
summoned gets reduced.
Okay.
So But then Volpera also have some like I think her racial is like something bag of tricks, but I don't know what it
Yeah,
does. God
yeah,
knows.
I have no idea either. Something
And
like
there's
it,
this.
it pulls out like a little micro buff or something like that you can use, or something.
I think it's kind of funny too. The Zandalari trolls.
Hmm.
Uh, one of their racials I think gives you a buff or gives you a stat increase. You know, it's
Okay.
like you give your blessing to a Loa, and depending on the Loa you bless, you get a different buff. But I think that ability has like a ridiculously long cooldown. So if you like give yourself the wrong buff, you have to wait a few days
Oh,
before you can.
it's like roll the bones on a 3-day CD.
Yeah, let me see what the actual cooldown is, but I know that's like Absurge was tweeting about that recently. He's like, he made a
Oh,
Zandalari troll and he gave himself the wrong buff and he was sad because he
oh,
couldn't
you couldn't
he
get.
couldn't change it.
That's funny. I know Kulturin has been very popular in rated battlegrounds for the knockback.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah.
Speaking of knockbacks, by the way, I learned in my RP adventures because I've been doing a lot of random BGs. I typically don't do
Hmm.
random BGs, so maybe I'm preaching to the choir here. But there are some ridiculously OP consumables you can use
Yes,
in
there is.
BGs.
Yes, there is.
And the most overpowered one, in my opinion, is the knock.
Yep.
You can buy that electrical knock thing. That
Yep.
thing sends people all the way across the map. Like
It
that thing
can.
is
Yep.
ridiculous.
Yep.
I was having fun with that on Arathi Basin. I was just punting
Hmm.
people off of Lumbermill. Um,
Yep.
the first time it happened to me, I was like, "What is that? I need that." That was broken.
Yeah. So
Oh,
in case everybody forgot, if you're wondering where those consumables is from a vendor in Dornegal. So on the room opposite side of where the vendor is for the World PvP, the Conquest, and the Honor vendor, the room on the other side of the concourse is where you can find a World PvP consumables, and there's a whole bunch of different fun ones. There's a root, there's a knock. I want to say there's a knock and a snare, and then there's a knock or a knock and a slow, and a knock and damage in that, and then there's another one that actually clumps everybody together, if I remember correctly. And I'm trying to remember what the other ones are. But there's
there's
some
like a
fun ones.
death grip
Yeah,
type thing. I think
yeah,
like you
that's
chain
the
someone.
yeah. It's yeah. Anyway, there's a bunch of fun ones. They're highly recommend.
By the
Great for
way,
world PvP, great for just random BGs and epics. And if you run into any pre-mades in either of those, you'll probably run into people that are using those.
yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. By the way, the Zandalari troll racial has a 5-day cooldown,
Oh
so
my
like,
gosh.
don't mess it up. Like, don't get the right buff, or else.
Yeah. Don't be an absturge. Don't regret what you do.
Yep.
Oh man. Wow. Well, I guess here. So we kind of went off a complete tangent, which I absolutely love. But this is all about balancing, and we're talking mostly racials. But you had a thought about actually how Blizzard balances classes, and
Hmm.
I actually want to really hear your thought, because um, I'll be honest, your point form I didn't understand. So so give it to me then. What is, I mean, our listeners, but what do you think is Blizzard's class balance philosophy?
So I will preface this by saying that none of this is confirmed. This is just kind of my own theory based on observations on
Mm-hmm.
how Blizzard designs classes, how Blizzard does tuning. Um, mm, so I'll lead with my thesis. Okay, I believe
Okay.
that Blizzard does tuning and does and prioritizes class design simply by player population. And the most popular classes and the most popular specs typically receive the most benefits or at least get reworks earliest into an expansion. And
Hmm.
we've seen this now twice with I'm gonna bully Ret Paladins here. No offense, Ret Paladins, but we've seen this now twice with Ret Paladins, or maybe even 3 times at this point, where Blizzard will do a rework, will go through their reworks throughout an expansion, and Red Paladin is usually first, or at least it's really early into the development cycle, and they also, when they do these reworks, Ret Paladins typically become really good, and then they typically stay pretty good throughout the expansion's life cycle. And what we saw on Tuesday was with class tuning is you had a bunch of flavor of the month specs sort of on the chopping block.
Yeah.
You had arcane mages, you had survival hunters, you had ret paladins, which were all kind of maybe to some degree problematic and doing some cheesy damage. And I'm not saying there's other classes not doing cheesy damage, but those were kind of the big three. And from those three, ret paladins kind of got off the easiest. I think their nerf was the least significant out of any of those, which is kind of jarring since if you go look at any participation data, if you look at representation, ret paladins are just absolutely killing it. And
more ways than one.
yes. And so I just don't think it's a coincidence that they're a very popular spec. They get their reworks really early, and they remain pretty good throughout the entire expansion.
Okay.
And so I think if you want to kind of predict where class balance is heading and who's going to benefit and yada yada yada, just look at where follow the money, as they say. Like wherever Blizzard's customers are, those are probably going to be the people prioritized in tuning decisions. Another spec that I've noticed that gets tuned in a positive way throughout an expansion is BM Hunter. BM Hunters usually get little tiny buffs all throughout the entire expansion. And in PvP, they're obviously always pretty good. I don't know how good they are in PvP. I think they're a bit niche in Mythic Plus. And Hunters, I think, are not too valuable in raids, but Hunters always seem to get little tiny buffs too. And I think BM Hunter is one of the most popular specs in the game as well.
So I remember hearing BM is actually pretty strong right now.
In PvE?
In PvP.
Oh yeah. It's definitely one of the, it's like the thing with BM is it's weird. Like there's certain specs that are obviously overpowered, because they one-shot you. But BM doesn't one-shot you. And in fact, when Palamore always does his like burst videos every expansion where he, ranks the time it takes for someone to one-shot someone or take someone 100 to 0. I think Snoopy did one earlier this expansion. BM Hunter was dead last on that list on Snoopy's video. So they're not one-shotting, but they do such great consistent damage that they're sort of broken in a different way, right?
Yeah.
And so I think they sort of fly under the radar.
Well, so I think BM is also is counterable because if you have a class that can stop the pets and keep the pets away, there's goes half the damage profile. Versus same like marksman. A lot of people are complaining about the burst potential of marksman, but again, if you can shut them down and they can't get off those black arrows, the buffed up black arrow, then their damage is not great outside of the burst windows, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that they do have going for them is the traps, because the CC from the traps is just bar none the best. I guess maybe Cyclone is the only one that's as good.
But yeah, freezing trap is interesting because on paper it's like worse than polymorph. Polymorph is spammable. They're on the same DRs. Obviously, freezing trap has the unique advantage that it's instant. And I think when it comes to when it comes to the practicality of landing your CC in arena, landing those polys in specific lobbies is going to be pretty hard, but
It is.
it's really consistent on how often you can land traps as a hunter. Um, your first trap of the game will usually be with intimidation, because and it's a 1 minute cool. Intim is a 1 minute cooldown. Freezing trap is a 30-second cooldown. It's like, what do you use for your second trap? Well, you just use binding arrow, and then you just alternate between binding arrow and intimidation for landing your freezing traps. And the nice thing about freezing trap, which is not true about poly, is you can accidentally reset the DRs on your polymorph if you poly too early, but because freezing trap has a cooldown, you can't reset its DR, but with itself. So it's kind of a weird, unique advantage hunters have, is that they're very consistent.
Though, and there is one other thing to the freezing trap that a lot of people forget about, is that if you don't know where it is, a smart hunter can actually drag you over top of one if they missed it.
Oh yeah,
and we actually saw Jelly do that in one of the AWCs, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Where I think for some reason the trap had missed, and then it was ruins of it was in the ruins, and yeah, I think he had the other character, the person chase him, and he ran him over top of the trap. Like,
I will say this, as a healer, there's nothing more embarrassing than walking into a trap that like the hunter missed or something. It makes you feel really stupid. It's like very cartoony, It's like, it's like, oh, what the heck? I'm trapped.
I guess I'll just chop off my own hands now, because yeah. So I think, so it would make sense from a business perspective to not piss off your clientele by nerfing the class that most people are playing. I think that makes sense. I don't believe that is a true, like, a final decision. It's probably a point, a conversation point, a factor that's considered when they're deciding on nerfs. Do they nerf or do they buff? And I noticed this last round that, yes, while a lot of us don't fully understand the decision behind the Ret nerf, quote unquote, there was a number of classes that were actually buffed as well, and they were already strong. So it's like, why are those buffed? And it was pointed out that is also, we have to consider that there was also a buff to the trinket bonus, which added more stamina.
Yeah.
And so the hypothesis is that some of those buffs aren't because, this class is performing really well. Why are you buffing it? They shouldn't be buffed. They should be nerfed. Is that it's more just to keep their position in the tier where they are, because and help them still perform the same level because the health buff, the stamina buff, right? So, because if you can kill somebody 100 to 0, let's say, by the 3-minute mark of an arena, and now that person just got 5% more stamina, it's going to take you 4 minutes maybe to kill them, or longer. But now with the buff, it's still going to take you only 3 minutes. So I think there's a checksum balance there that's dumb, and that they've done, and I think it's a good idea. I'm glad they did that. I don't know though about the whole whatever class is being played the most is the one that's going to get buffed first, or not get nerfed. I don't believe that.
Well,
I feel there's more to it.
I'll link you. I'll just, we don't have to talk too much more about this, but I linked it in the stream chat. This website, Data for Azeroth. I don't know how accurate this is, but I'm going to assume this is relatively accurate. This is the number of, it's a breakdown of spec population at max level.
Okay.
So as you can see, Ret's at the top, BM's at the right below them. Havoc DH up there, Balance Shirt up there, Fury, Frost Mage. So
and
then if you go down more, you can see the
augmentation 0.4%.
Yes.
Where's
I
sub? Way at the
sub
very
is all the
bottom.
way at the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah, just above preservation and augmentation. Um, what's cert? Wait a minute. What is this? Is this NA only?
It's all everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, that's huge then. Because that would also include but Asia too, right?
I
That's
believe
that's
so.
that's all API data. That's interesting.
But
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, and not to meddle too much with the conspiracy theory, but like if we go down to the bottom, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of maybe cherry picking here, but I know Brewmaster Monk is never or hasn't been the meta tank for Mythic Plus for a while.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it's sort of the least popular tank, and seems to get the least
Um,
amount of love.
I think so. I think the problem there is that on the tank side, there's um, it's more about utility and damage mitigation, right? So I feel like with Brewmaster, they have they have okay damage mitigation, but it's completely reliant on the healer because if you don't have a healer, unlike uh, Vengeance DH, they have leech and they can heal themselves once they um, uh, oh my gosh, I'm totally brain farting the names of the names of abilities right now. I don't know why. Um, when they go demon form, they can totally like heal themselves up. Paladin can heal itself up. Protection
Mhm.
warrior, they can heal themselves up. Brewmaster, all they can do is stagger data, but or stagger the damage, but it's gonna still chip at them. So they need a healer. And then, but right now, I believe Brewmaster's damage profile is actually better than some of the other specs. It's up there.
Oh yeah.
So I feel that in that regard, they are actually stronger than some of them. And you might actually see that number climb. But this I don't know. This is so skewed, like especially with how easy it is to level. Like literally leveled a demon hunter in a day and got it up to eye level 650 from
Yeah.
70 to 80. Like I this could get skewed tomorrow if all of a sudden a class gets buffed or a spec gets
Hmm.
buffed, right?
I wish it
Uh,
would be possible to see this over time,
mm-hmm.
and see
Yeah.
which ones are consistently at the top and which ones fluctuate a lot. Um, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing with a lot of the um pure DPS classes that there's probably a decent amount of fluctuation. Like Destro, Demo, Affliction, like those probably alternate quite a bit. Um, and I mean, BM Hunters always seems to be popular though. Like as much whenever I check this, I don't check this every expansion, but I check it
Mm.
periodically, and BM Hunter is always consistently pretty high. Um,
Yeah.
Also, it's really funny if you go to the races tab, elves
Look
reign
at that.
supreme in WoW.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
No,
Blood
but
elf, then night elf, then human, then orc.
yeah, people love the elves and people love the
Mm-hmm.
humans and orcs.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly,
Oh, look at that. Void elf is
um,
right below orc. So that's funny. Yeah,
mhm.
um I feel like this would be really interesting to see the data juxtaposed across patches and
Yep.
see what that looks like. See how the participation is changing in the different specs in that. This is interesting though. Thanks.
Yeah, it's fun little website to browse every now and then.
Hmm. Yeah, there's some really cool websites out there using the API data. There's some pretty smart people out there that they do on the third party software sites or
Yeah.
third party websites. Um, so that's interesting. I think so. Here's a question: is is the reason maybe not because the spec is popular, but because of the popularity, they get more data, and then they're able react to that first because they have enough data to make a reaction, versus some of the specs that aren't played very much or that lower participation, they have to wait longer until they feel that they have enough data to say, okay, that is an anomaly, that really needs to get fixed, rather than just a knee jerk of, you know, I don't know, Sea-Doo said that his class can't perform well because his resto shaman isn't performing well because
Yeah,
some reason.
I'm sure there's a disparity of the quality of feedback,
Yeah.
especially in PvP. Like
Yep.
I not to I mean not to I'm not shaming him by saying this, but that the paladin Leveladin,
Mm-hmm.
uh, who's pretty active on Twitter, he's very active with giving Blizzard feedback and reporting bugs. Like he
Very
is
much so.
very diligent with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's plays Ret Paladin, and maybe if other classes had more people like him, then there would be,
Mm-hmm.
more eyes. I think it definitely helps. Having more players in your population
Yeah.
advocating for change probably. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely, it doesn't hurt. It definitely helps. And yeah, unfortunately for
I
PvP, I think the quality of feedback sometimes isn't that great, and
No.
people aren't reporting bugs as often as they should.
Well, so here's one that I feel is true, is that a lot of people that are experts in a class, if they know that there's a slight bug in the interaction that gives them benefit, such as like let's say like a between a buff and a tier set interaction is double dipping.
Well, I
You
have
know,
I have a perfect example of that.
hmm,
So,
okay,
uh, huge part of playing Feral Druid is this mechanic called Blood Talons,
yep,
which is this buff you get after using 3 unique combo point generating abilities in a row. So you have to Rake, Shred, Moonfire in order to proc your Blood Talons.
okay,
There's some bug that's been in the game for a while, which will randomly cause you to just get Blood Talons in the opener for free. Like you don't even have to. You just press your Rake and you suddenly just have Blood Talons. Like it's not supposed to work like that at all, but it just
mm-hmm.
does. And it's a very important, but like that's like a crazy cool bug to have.
Yeah.
Just
So
getting your most important buff instantly without having to do
mhm.
two other things. Hell
so
yeah.
so how many feral druids do you think reported that bug?
Oh, I'm sure zero. I think I doubt
Exactly,
any of them.
exactly. And that's the thing though, is that if a bug is benefiting, where you're getting like some crazy burst because of this bug interaction, then the likelihood of somebody self-reporting that is very low, because ultimately a lot of us are selfish beings and we want to feel powerful. And in a game of competitiveness where you have uber competitive people, the last thing you're going to do is do something that's going to hurt your competitiveness, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. And also I find there's a bunch of people that have actually stopped following or I really don't pay much attention to on social media anymore. But I remember, I want to say it was during Legion and then subsequently after Legion, where there was a number of people that would get onto socials and cry that some spec was overpowered and just nuking them, and there'd be like the one little snippet from details, and it's like the last like half second or whatever, just showing the person get deleted, not showing the backstory on anything. It's just a quick little snippet. But in the meantime, the class that they're playing is actually very strong, right? So
Yeah.
so essentially, they're just asking for their competitor to get nerfed so that they can be stronger and have a higher likelihood of getting a higher rank, higher CR, win more,
There was
more
a
win
time
loss.
period, somewhere around WAD, Legion,
Mm-hmm.
BFA, in that sort of era, where there was a lot of anti-rogue mage chirp on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter. Like every single tournament, there would be a team complaining about rogue mage, and this just went
Yep.
on. And it was kind of like, come on, man. Like, first of all, it's a tournament, and it's a tournament realm. If you want to play rogue, you can. You can just practice.
Yep.
Have someone on your team practice if it really bothers you that much. But Well, it's so frustrating about those complaints is like a lot of these people were playing really good specs and really good comps too. It's like it's not like
Yeah.
RMP was this undefeatable god. It's just, I think there was some learn to play issues there. Um
So this brings me. Did you see the tweet I put out a little while ago? Just from a Reddit post, basically telling people to stop being crybabies and build on themselves.
I don't know if I saw it.
Okay, no worries. So there's an excellent post up on Reddit. It was actually fairly positive, and in it there was a reply that I took a screen capture and tweeted about it. But
Oh,
it
I see it.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah, basically telling yes, this is true, but also there's a bunch of people that are crybabies, and they need to stop complaining about everybody else in the shuffle and just worry about themselves because that's the only thing you can change. Which is, I think, amazing advice. But I think
Yeah,
but I get
so
it. Like it's frustrating if you're trying to be. And I think it comes back to, um, in solo shuffle. And again, I want talking about balance. You're talking about specs. The balancing in the MMR and how people are match made, is still very whacked in solo shuffle. Especially when people come in, they're doing placement games, and like you win two placement games, and all of a sudden you're in the 2Ks or something like that. Like that's ridiculous. Um, but at the same time, again, another player message, we were talking about this, and he was saying how, in solo shuffle he plays a completely, he's selfish. Like he doesn't care about anybody else. He's not playing with teammates, he's playing for himself, and everybody else is the enemy because eventually he has to kill them. Like he's up against them regardless. So he doesn't even
mhm.
pay attention. He doesn't consider anybody on his team a friend or a teammate in any of the lobbies, because as far as he's concerned, he's just there to build his own CR and take away theirs at the end of the day. And so I think that's the that's one thing about solo shuffle that is different than threes or twos, or even the rated battlegrounds, in that you're working as a team and you're building yourself as a team, especially if it's a, not just somebody you picked up an LFG or a YOLO, but like actual people that you team up with the purpose that over the next, X number of weeks, X number of nights, you guys are going to be playing X number of hours just to keep climbing that ladder and getting better. And that's not solo shuffle. And solo shuffle, if a person's been sitting a 40 minute queue to queue into a lobby and have somebody completely sabotage their gameplay because they got flamed on the first round and all of a sudden they decide to AFK, and you're just going to lose a bunch of CR for no reason. Like that's hugely frustrating. Or
Yeah.
there's a person that's a brand new player that should not be there because they have no concept of this higher level gameplay and they're just fumbling around. Again, you're just going to go 3-3, no gain in CR. So you just had a 40-minute queue for what? To sit another 40-minute queue? Like and maybe, especially if you're a healer, you're going to probably lose CR, right? Like that's just so frustrating. I don't know. I feel like that, if anything, for balancing the MMR and the way CR is gained and lost in solo queue, needs to be changed, and that needs balancing.
Yeah, I yesterday I went on a streak of going 3-3,
Mm.
and it was just really I think that is very frustrating. It's almost more frustrating to go 3-3 a bunch of times than it is to lose. I don't know what it
Mm-hmm.
is. But it felt really bad,
Mm-hmm.
and I was getting one, at least I was getting 1 point. On my
Oh,
healer I would probably get 0, but
well,
on my
yeah.
DPS at least I got 1 or 2.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so if let's say you're 2100 CR in an equivalent MMR, and you queue into a threes match, solo shuffle, and you're opposing the other healer because you're paired with together, is, let's say, 1900, you go 3-3, you're going to lose CR MMR, almost guaranteed.
Yeah, you will lose if you go 3-3 against a healer that's lower MMR than you. I don't think you lose rating, but you definitely lose MMR, and then
Mm-hmm.
that kind of has a ripple effect on you losing rating later on. That's why it's so easy to spiral and
Yeah.
like lose a lot in solo shuffle. That's the one thing they haven't really figured out yet, and I don't know if you can solve that, because that's a very common thing in shuffle. That's not so common in twos and threes. In twos and threes, I think your rating is relatively stable. Like it might go up every week, it might go down every week, but not by much. But there's the potential in solo shuffle to just tank 300 rating in one sitting.
Yeah.
Which is it's happened to me
Wild.
before,
That's
and
wild.
it's not a good feeling. Because yeah, if you are losing MMR fast, that means you're going to be losing CR fast later on, and it just gets worse and worse. It's just an exponential problem.
100%.
By the way, speaking of toxicity,
Oh boy.
I had a very funny joke yesterday in Shuffle. I was playing my sub rogue, and I load into the lobby, and the healer on my team just starts typing instructions. They're like, you need to run in at the beginning of the game, sap the enemy healer, and then open this guy, and later on you need to blind the healer. Like, he was typing me lists, and my response to them was like, "Wow, thanks, man. I didn't think of all that. Like, oh, thanks for telling me how to play my class." And like, damn, sap the healer. I didn't. Who would have thought? That's a good idea.
What rating was the lobby? Like,
it was like 2K ish, maybe like 2100.
That seems, yeah. I can see like maybe like 1700, like if you're just climbing and they wanted to make sure that you knew what to do. But you'd think at 2100 the rogue would know what to do.
Yeah. Especially right now. If, by the way, I'm 20. Let me see. I'm 2100 on my rogue, and I'm like the 19th highest sub rogue or something crazy. Like, sub rogue ratings are so deflated right now compared to other specs. So I don't want to hear it when someone says sub rogue is OP. It's clearly not. Oh, I'm the 18th highest sub rogue. That's cool. I feel that's higher than I am on druid proportionately. Like,
I find that people complain that something is OP when more often than not they got outplayed, and because rogue just feels so hard to, it feels so bad to lose against it when you're constantly being CC'd. Like, you're not able to play your character, right? So you're just sitting there just taking it, and if your teammates aren't stopping that, then you're gonna die, and that feels bad, right? So I get it, but again, it comes down to, you're being outplayed or the team's being outplayed, because if the healer is over there running, if you're stupid enough to run around the pillar or line your healer, then and get stun locked dead, then that's on you. If you get stun locked in line of sight of your teammates and they don't do anything to help you, and you already used your trinket and your defensive, that's on them. Like,
it's definitely a very polarizing spec. And by the way, I just realized this. So yesterday I race changed from night elf to human, and I didn't even notice I was doing this. My rogue looks like you, Gerissar. Look at my rogue.
Oh,
look at me.
I don't know if I want to. Oh boy, why am I clicking this?
It's funny.
Oh no.
So.
Oh, dude. He's bald. He has a goatee though. I have a beard. At least.
Yeah, I should get a beard. I'll just cosplay as Gerissar.
Oh my gosh. So, fun fact, I actually do the same thing. My warlock is a bald gray human.
Oh, nice.
So
I like playing I like bald male human a lot. I don't know why. It's like, some of the hairstyles on male human just look a bit goofy to me. I just like the
when they redid all the barbershop and you had all the different hairstyles you could put on, it's like, I don't want to look like Justin Bieber. I don't want to look like Harry Potter. Like, no.
Or there's like the anime looking ones where it's just like ridiculous, like you look like Goku or something.
Yeah, it's like, but I get it. There's people like it, and so that's them. And okay, off you go, have fun. I'm just gonna do more traditional whatever. So I guess I'm just traditionalist. I'm just an old fuddy duddy. It's
Yes.
anyway, I think I'm just trying to think, like, so I want to circle back on the balancing just quickly. Um, aside from so racials, I mean, are they balanced? Not balanced? Questionable. I don't think there's really any balancing to be done there. Maybe some of them could get buffed so they actually feel worthwhile to press, and maybe we
Yeah.
might see some others there. But for the most part, I mean, they're kind of cool. They're kind of fun. They add that other whimsical part to the game. Um, specs, it's so hard to say, especially when you're looking at data across all the realms between NAEU, Korea, Taiwan. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much data there, and like you said, it even goes back to the different regions. Like, we've even seen, the meta that's decided in EU is not the same as what's in NA in any season
Right.
that I'm aware of. So that skews data. Seeing that many rep players is concerning. Um, but again, looking at
Well,
data at such a macro level is
mhm.
very, it's like looking at some statistics that's, 85% of the time, such and such, 9 times out of 10 out of, okay, sure, but I can also create another data point that makes it look like 35% of the time, same thing. So, I don't know.
It,
It's hard.
data is tricky,
Yeah.
uh, especially in PvP.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like rarely does it ever. I mean, you're never gonna get a complete picture by looking at representation or
No.
population. It's always incomplete.
No, exactly.
Uh,
Which I think is, I give kudos to Blizzard for all the work they do to try to balance, but there's got to be a point where they just say, enough is enough. We have to move on to the next whatever, right?
mm-hmm. I
And
I will say this.
mhm,
Uh, we have at SkillCap we have our new data analytics site, which we're planning to do some cool stuff with. But I was kind of looking into maybe some interesting data points we could present players on our site. And
mhm,
one idea I had was like maybe trying to find like an underdog in the meta. And what you could do is you could
mhm,
compare like the population of a spec
mhm.
compared to its average performance. So maybe enhancement shaman isn't that popular, but it's disproportionately higher rated, you know?
Yeah,
Um, so I think there's a lot of cool stuff that we could present people, cool data stuff we could present to people that I'm not going to find anywhere else. And
mhm.
maybe some more objective ways to look at the meta than just, oh, this number is high. Therefore, this class must be good. That's
Yeah.
not always how things work.
No. I almost feel like uh the WoW Arena site or WoW Arena logs. I feel like they would have data points there that could help if you could join join forces there or something, maybe.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, those guys have a lot of potential for interesting data.
So much. And because it's straight from combat logs, there's so much more data that they're getting that we don't get from API, which I think is why I think that's, if you actually look at the API data points, what you can actually get out of the API for PvP is actually quite low. The amount of data points for PvE, especially Mythic Plus, being the more recent, is crazy amount of data that they can take to make cool graphics and everything else. Um, but I think now is the time not to be talking about new websites, unless that's the one
Mhm.
thing you would change.
No. I'm
So, what is the one thing you would change, Big?
but maybe we could talk about this next podcast episode, but I had an idea, okay?
Okay.
And this is again, we're going to open a can of worms with this, so I don't want to go too deep into this. But I was thinking about how Blizzard is making Comstomp a permanent feature
Mm-hmm.
of the game. And then I was also thinking about how even though BG Blitz has been, I would say, successful,
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit I thought there would be way more interest in BG Blitz, because if you go and look in these, compare how many solo shuffle lobbies are being played
Hmm.
every day compared to how many BG Blitz lobbies are being played, like solo shuffle is still the most popular competitive bracket, which is shocking to me, because I was like, for sure, like I before, when they announced BG Blitz, I was like, okay, this is going to be a really popular bracket.
Hmm.
It's probably going to dwarf Arena, but that hasn't happened. So here's my idea. Here's my pitch. Okay, this is going to sound pretty radical at first, but I think that random BGs should just be merged into BG Blitz. Um,
What? Oh my.
and
Okay.
I think it should not. What they should do is they should remove the button to queue random BGs.
Hmm.
And if you want to play Arathi Basin, Warsun Gulch, whatever, it's just going to be you're queuing in a BG Blitz. Now, I think Epic BG should replace random BGs. I think if you want to queue a random BG, it should just be an Epic. Now, that would require them to figure out the pre-made issue that's been hurting
Hmm.
Epic BGs for a while. But I think now that we're going to have a permanent comp stomp, I really think that regular BGs are going to suffer a little bit. And it would be cool if we could just take all the people who are already queuing random BGs and put them into BG Blitz. Because I think the BG Blitz maps or map rules are way better than the random BG map rules.
Hmm.
Like Eye of the Storm, I think is infinitely better in Blitz than it is on random BGs. I don't like the King of the Hill node capture, and I think it would be cool if Epic BGs were sort of the main battleground. That's my pitch. That's what I would change. Again, can of worms. Talk about it next episode, but that's my idea.
All right. Huh. That is, man. You come with some really wild ones. Not gonna lie. um, I was a little surprised though. Yeah, you're right that the solo shuffle, the amount of solo shuffle played right now is dwarfing the number of people playing solo shuffle is dwarfing BG Blitz,
Yeah.
which is very interesting because I thought BG Blitz was quite popular. I thought it was going to be more popular. So maybe it's because it's just the brand that the start of the season, and I feel like a lot of players have kind of come to the realization that trying to push rating at the first of the season is somewhat counterintuitive. A lot of people think that you're supposed to like get that big rush, but I think a lot of people, they just play enough to get their conquest cap and then they're done. And
Yep.
it's not until we get through halfway of the season, the conquest cap is gone, that all of a sudden you're probably going to see those numbers shift and people play probably BG Blitz more, or maybe they're playing more threes. I don't know, but I think I think that's interesting. The idea of getting rid of just random, the regular BGs and just making epics the only thing that people can queue randomly. I that's ooh
It's a
that
hard sell, but I think
that's
it's the right
sensitive.
thing.
That's sensitive.
I
Yeah.
Yeah. I know also people complain about pre-mades in regular BGs, not epic BGs, and I think that would
Yeah.
be because you can't pre-made a BG Blitz. You can only queue
No.
it with two.
Yeah, you're right.
Um,
I think if they're going to do that though, they would have to take every single random BG and make them blitz, which they haven't done. I thought.
oh yeah, there's still a few missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to they need to fix that.
Yeah. So I think if they did that, then that would definitely that would be the sign. So, huh.
Yeah.
All right.
We
I
need to
think
consult some other people, see if they think this is a good idea.
yeah. I I think and I'm going to borrow this one again from our Discord channel, but I'm going to take one from there and say I want them to bring back the bonus BG. So, you know how like there's like a cycle, like I think it was on the weekends you could queue up and there'd be like a BG that if you played, you got more honor. And
Oh yeah.
and so you had way more people, like the queues were super fast. Like there was like tons of maps that are available, and because everybody's trying to queue that because it was just is more advantageous to run that one. And I'd like to get that one. I'd like to see that back. I feel like that is a missed thing in the community, and I'd like to see that. So that's the thing
I
I would
agree.
change. Yeah, I think. Oh, and we're done. Oh, we haven't done this for a bit. I keep forgetting to do it. Do you want to do a shout out?
I do want to do a shout out to my my fellow arena partner on Moonguard, who is also a high ranking member of the Divine Inquisition.
Mhm.
Um, Her name is Mathene, formerly known as Thoticus on Twitter.
Oh
She's
yeah,
she's taken a break from Twitter, but very active in RP PvP. So shout out to Thoticus.
cool.
Night Witch Mathene
All right.
is who deserves my shout out today.
Well, all right. I like
And
Thoticus.
what about you?
She was fun to follow on Twitter. Um,
Yes.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Mortai and Gregors. The three of us are going to queue up for the first cup of the Arena World Cup, which is the I want to say the 3rd of October. Is that the Wednesday? Nope, the 1st of October. The first cup is going to be broadcasted on the 3rd. But we're going to queue up on the 1st, the three of us, and see how high we get. At the very least, we're going to get the banner. At best, we might actually win around and move on to somewhere along the lines before we get bashed out by an by an actual arena team or AWC team. But
Yep.
it's always fun. It's so much fun to do that. That said, if if you play on the NA and you want to be our fourth to just have some fun, by all means, come over to the Discord and let us know. And if we fill up, I'm sure we'll probably get some more people together and maybe make have a second team of technically PvPers to queue up. But that's my shout out to both Gregors and Mortai.
I like it.
Yeah. Are you gonna queue up?
No, I mean,
Even for the banner?
maybe I like to have the tournament realm access, so maybe I'll
Mm-hmm.
apply, but no, I haven't. I've played in a few of those cups and it's fun. I always have fun, but yeah, gets pretty sweaty, pretty
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, it does. It's worth it for the banner. Those banners are sweet, so sweet. But
Yes.
all right. And on that, speaking of sweet, Big, could you be sweet and tell the listeners where they can find us?
Oh, yes, I can. You can contact us directly on X or Twitter at technically_PvP or on Blue Sky at technicallypvp .bluesky.social or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord. Also, you can visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so head over there and tell everyone what you think of your favorite shows.
Indeed. And links for finding us and all the other great information is, well, actually, I don't think there's many other links, but other than the ways to find us, but that's going to be in the show notes. So, hey, head on over to the show notes, click the links, and please give us a review, give us some stars on whatever your app is, and let people know about us. We're back. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
See you guys.